What's up, everybody? John Eric Poli here with my MMA news, and today's guest just defeated Eric Gonzalez by a first round knockout at UFC Vegas 70 for his first career UFC win. Pleased today to once again be joined by Trevor Peek. Trevor, nice to see you as always, man. Congratulations on the win.
Hey, nice to see you too, man. I appreciate you having me on, John. Thank you.
So let's dive into everything here, man. We'll start with this being your first win. I know we talked so much in the past about things sinking in, and you said, right, you thought it had sunk in after the Contender Series fight, but it really didn't even start to sink in until once you signed that first UFC contract that you were just in the UFC. Now here it is, first career win. What's kind of the emotions been like here for you since that win?
Really high. I mean, emotions have been really high. They're just things are a lot different now, man. It's kind of like I was telling you before we started. After the Contender Series, like things didn't really sink in. I felt like a UFC fighter a little bit, but not just too much. And then, we was watching the post fight show on the week before my fight, and then I seen my name on the screen, and things was like, wow, man, like this is really happening. This is crazy. This is real. And then, man, after this last fight, things are just it's crazy, man. Like everywhere I go, I get recognized now. I'm having to stop and take pictures and shake hands and meet folks, and it's crazy, man.
Hey, the life of a future UFC star is right upon you, man, and it's been great. Like I told you off air, it's been great following this journey. I know we've been doing these since the Contender Series, so it's great seeing things all come to fruition for you here. Let's get into this fight now here, though, a little bit, because it was an amazing fight that you earned a performance bonus for with the big highlight reel knockout. I know it was being shared all around the internet, so let's get into the action here. We'll start with your game plan coming out. You were throwing a lot of heavy shots at him, and you're putting everything you had into every single punch and every single kick. Was that the game plan to come out and throw those bombs like that?
um, I guess it was part of my game plan. It wasn't really. Well, my coaches wanted me to, they wanted me to go in there and be myself, and be violent and fight like I usually do. My striking coach, he wanted me to kind of tone things down a little bit and kind of showcase my skill. But honestly, man, it's almost like starting over. Whenever I did my UFC debut, it's as far as nerves go, it ain't like completely starting over because I don't have the tunnel vision and stuff there anymore, but like as far as a lot of things go, man, it's almost like I've had to start over. So, I'm gonna just have to figure out a way how to like harness all this violence, have moments of violence instead of, just the whole fight just being crazy. But yeah, it was yeah, no, throwing everything as hard as I could. I don't think that was, really what they had in mind. But, I just, man, I told myself before I went out there, I was like, dude, just have fun, man. Like go out here, enjoy this moment and just have fun. And I felt like I made the most of it, man. I went out there and probably had a little too much fun.
I say you were definitely having a good time there, that's for sure. I know you mentioned, right? You said like kind of telling yourself in the back to just go out there and have fun. What were the emotions like when you were backstage there? 'Cause I know before the Contender Series, you said that you kind of had a little bit of nerves and you felt tight, and also like your legs and arms got real heavy. Did you have any of that for this debut, or were you pretty much, pretty cool, calm, and collected through it?
Well, I got some of that. I was telling you in the Contender Series fight, I was having dizzy spells way in day and the fight day, and them dizzy spells really, sent my emotions into just a tornado of emotions. Man, I was just so worried about everything. But like, I got some what's it called Dramamine, I think, motion sickness medicine, and I'd taken it on the way out there, and I had like just a couple moments here and there where I felt a little foggy headed, maybe a little lightheaded, but for the most part, man, that wasn't there this time. And I got weighed in, got rehydrated, and when I woke up on fight day, I felt a little groggy and a little weak, but I could tell by the way my arms felt that like I was going to be okay, and I wasn't having the dizzy spells or anything. And then we got to the venue, and or I got through, taking my drug test and everything, and I got in the back where the mats was at, and my legs still felt like they wasn't firing off, completely. But as far as like my arms and everything go, man, like I ain't so worried about my legs feeling a little heavy. But if we're in the back and my arms are feeling like they're 100 pounds apiece, then I start getting worried. You know what I mean? Like, so we got back in the back, and I started, kind of shadowboxing a little bit, and I looked over at my striking coach, and I was like, Oh yeah, man. Like I'm I'm a lot better this time. And he even said, right whenever he was back there, he said, I can tell you're feeling a whole lot better today. And one of my other head coaches, he commented on me that morning. He said, you look like you feel a whole lot better than you did in the Comma Worthy fight or the my contender series fight. And I was like, I do, man. Like I'm maybe getting everything down between the weight cut and getting used to traveling, but I'm starting to I guess figure out the system. And I felt great, man, in the back. Leading up to it, I right before I walked out, I started giving myself a little bit of nerves. Not anything crazy, but it's a lot going out there in front of the whole world, man. And you run the risk of getting slapped in front of everybody, and or anything could happen. And I just these last I don't know, man, 3 or 4 pro fights, I've been so worried about the outcome that I haven't taken the time to enjoy the actual fight. And that was one of the things. Like I was like, man, do you just like winning? You know what I mean? Do you not enjoy the fight anymore? And I'm having a full on conversation with myself in my head, and I was like, no, man, I like fighting. So I just had to pull everything together and just told myself to have fun, and I did, man.
Yeah, you definitely had fun out there. Let's get into some more of this action here, though, from the fight. So, one of the things that I found really impressive was, I mean, he landed a couple of, I guess you call them takedowns because he did drag you to the mat, but you would explode up so quick. That is such a hard thing to do, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Just talk about that and how you were able to explode up the way how you did like that. Like, what was it that was it? Like, were you just a big adrenaline there that made you sprint right up like that? Or was it something that you realized that he was doing that there was, like, the opening was there for you to just explode up? Like, what was going on with that?
Hell, some people refuse to be controlled, and that is just I did a lot better in my camp, my wrestling practicing and everything. I did so much better than I showed the other night. I mean, I was doing things that I never do, man. Like I don't understand why, whenever he was at my side and I was like holding on to his head like I was, in high school again or something. There was just a lot of things that I don't know. Like I said, that stuff like that's what I'm talking about feeling like I'm kind of starting over because we got back to the house afterwards, man, and I was watching it and I'm like, heck yeah, man. As soon as he started hitting them takedowns, I was like, what am I doing? I just told one of my coaches, I was like, why am I even doing that, man? I don't ever do that. And he was like, I don't know, man. But yeah, just as far as just the getting up, man, I felt so much stronger than him. There was that first takedown, I'm kind of just laying on the ground and I'm not really exerting any energy. And I was just waiting on him to give me a little bit of space so I could capitalize. And then all the other times I pretty well just was like, no, man, you're going to have a hard time keeping me down. I mean, I train with Torres Finney, and he's so hard to handle. He manhandles me in here a lot of days. So going with somebody like him, and then I go to Eric. It's just a big difference, man. I can't even describe to you the difference. It's magnificent. It's a freaking huge difference.
And now, I guess, with all that being said, man, just take us through this finish here. Obviously, you landed a couple big shots there and able to walk it off at the buzzer. And like I said in the beginning, with it being a buzzer beater KO, I know it kind of blew up over the internet. So, what was that like, kind of seeing your knockout all over the place?
It's wild, man. I had to give him one of those Sam Mountain Judy chops, by God. I don't, some of that. There at the end, man, I felt like I had him out of there, a couple of times, and he was tough. I'll give it to Eric. He was pretty durable, man. Like I said, I thought there was a few times I was like, oh, he's done, and then he'd keep fighting, man. And then there at the very end, at the very end, like when I landed that weird tomahawk punch, and he went down. I started hitting him with my right, and like I kind of figured I thought I kind of knew he was out, but like I mean, I've got a job to do, and the ref can't really see that he's out. You know what I mean? And I knew I was really close to the time, man. I'd heard the 10-second clapper, so I mean, I knew I had to swing, just try to swing as quick as I could, as many times as I could, and get him out of there. And luckily the ref got on over there and got me off of him. But yeah, it's wild seeing it all over the place, man. Seeing the UFC like make little tweets and everything, dude. It's crazy, man. I'll walk around and I'll be out in public or something, shopping or something, and I'll just every once in a while be like, kind of famous now. It's just weird, man. I don't know how to handle all of it. It's very weird. I'm blessed, no doubt, but it's very strange.
So I don't know if anybody asked you this after the fight or not, but I'm going to ask it, and this might just be a me being curious type of a thing, but I got to know, man, how were the lungs afterwards after that? Because that fight, we talked about it, right? You were throwing a lot of heavy shots. He was getting takedowns. You were exploding right up. The finish there, that was like a full on 5 minute sprint from bell to bell that round. Just how are you feeling after the round?
I was pretty tired. Yeah, I was pretty tired, and I wasn't gonna go into talking about it just because like everybody's, eventually gonna think that I make up stuff or something, I guess. But like, I mean, our whole gym got some kind of bad head cold. Like half our MMA team got this real bad head cold. I caught it about, I guess, probably about 2.5, 3 weeks out, and I just had lingering stuff. A lot of snot lingering over, and a little bit of gunk built up in my lungs. But yeah, but I was pretty tired at the end of that first round, man. I think everybody seen me. I just kind of went over and just sat down and kind of was like, well, I done it. You know what I mean? Just it was a lot of emotion, but yeah, I was a little tired, but I also felt like I recovered quick. You know what I mean? Like by the time they raised my hands, and by the time we got over, I raised my hand. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was definitely ready for another round. I don't think for a second, you know what I mean, that I wasn't ready to finish the whole fight.
All right, so now afterwards, right, you get the win, you're inside the octagon, all happy, smiling. Bruce Buffer then comes over before he announces your name, and you guys had a little back and forth inside the octagon there. I know the cameras did pan over to it, but couldn't really make out what was being said there. Just what was said between you and Bruce in that moment.
Mr. Buffer, he kind of just he told me that he wanted to, do something special for me, and he told me about that card that he gave me, his announcement card, and he was like, "Now, Trevor, I don't want you telling," which I don't. He didn't know the camera was on us, but he was like, I don't want you telling, all the other fighters and stuff that I done this for you." But he said, I see something special, and I want to give this to you, and like he signed it and everything, man. He wrote big cheers plus no fears forever, and then signed Bruce Buffer on it, man. I've got it. I've actually got it in a picture frame up in my room. It's just super crazy, man. They said he's only ever done that one other time in his entire announcement career. But at the end of our podcast, I was watching it later on, and he said technically, that the other time that he did it, whichever fighter it was, their manager come up to him after the fight and asked him for the card. So really and truly, I'm the only fighter he's ever given one to personally. So man, I'll keep that thing forever. You know what I mean? It's just honestly, man, that thing's gonna mean to me as much to me as like a world title was. That people win world titles every single day.
Yeah, man, that's definitely a really cool moment there. And Bruce is a longtime staple of the UFC. Really, special moment there for you, and a very special thing too to have a card like that from him. I know you were on his podcast. You did briefly mention that. Just what was that experience like too? Because I know he has a very good podcast. I know a lot of people, a lot of UFC fans are dialed into that podcast and go on and listen to it daily. So what was that whole experience like?
It was just kind of surreal, man. Honestly, like I had no idea he was even going to ask me to be on it, and then he private messaged me on Instagram, and I was like, did he message me? And I went back to look at it, and he'd sent me another message and was like, hey, we just want to know if you wanted to come be on our podcast, by way of Zoom. And I was like, absolutely, man. And then I sent him my phone number, and then I figured it would be within a week or two, and then he called me and he woke me up from a nap, and I seen Bruce Buffer on my phone. And I was like, dude, this is just too crazy, man. So we got everything lined up, and I was on the podcast with him within that hour, man. So it was just and I felt like he wanted to interview me. You know what I mean? Like there's been a lot of times where I've done these interviews with people and stuff, and like kind of seems like some people kind of get in a it's like they're a job to them instead of like being passionate about it. And I could tell like that he wanted me on the podcast with him and stuff. So that meant a lot to me, man. That he wanted to spend his time with me instead of just doing it for the podcast. So that was real cool, man.
Great stuff there. And so you go out, right? You get your first win, you get interviewed by Bruce Buffer, and most importantly, or maybe not most importantly, I know money isn't everything, but to a lot of people, this would probably be most important. You got some extra cash to go home with. You earned a performance of the night bonus. So, yeah, what are the plans for the extra 50K that you got there?
I just, I don't know, man. Just try to invest a little bit of it, but just pay off some bills and stuff like that, and try to invest some of it back into myself for this, whole fighting career and everything. But money don't go a long ways nowadays, man. It goes quick as you get it. So I mean, I'm looking to make some more. I mean, I need to. I'm wanting to get back in there. We're targeting, hopefully. I'd like to get in there at around May time, but it's looking like it could be June. But I don't know. I'll be grateful for whatever they give me, man. So hopefully we'll get something lined up here soon.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. What is next? Is that kind of the game plan, May, June, or as soon as possible, whenever as soon as possible will be?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to. Yeah, like I said, I would really like to get one in before June. Like, I'm fine with June, but I would like to at least get close to fighting out my contract by the end of this year. You know what I mean? So if I could fight like around May, that would work out to where I got a decent amount of time in between each camp.
All right, man. A lot of great stuff. Congrats on the first win. Appreciate the time as always. Last thing now before you head out, just go ahead, plug your social media so people know where to follow you at. You have any messages or management, things like that? You get the last word today. So whatever messages you have out there, you may send them.
Yeah, y'all can follow me on Instagram. It's just Trevor Peek MMA altogether. Twitter's Trevor Peek _ MMA, and then you can just look me up on Facebook at Trevor Peek. I want to thank my manager Steve Swedish and Ruby Sports for just making my life so much easier and scheduling everything for me, and uh, all my teammates and coaches here at Agogi Combatives and Jeff Powell. They all, I couldn't do this stuff without them, man. I had several people make donations for this last fight. I had a bunch of sponsors sponsor me through their businesses. Just thank you to all of them, and yeah, I guess just thank everybody for tuning in, supporting my career and everything, man. It really does mean the absolute world. And I just while we're on here, want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I also wanted to say this too, man. Like anybody that may happen to watch this, I don't want people getting the wrong vibe about me. At the end, when I got down on my knees and stuff like that. I don't want people to think I do stuff like that for fans. I only do that, man, because I told God if He'd bring me out of all the hell that I'd put myself in, that I'd always give Him the glory. And to be honest with you, man, I don't even really feel worthy of doing it most of the time. But I feel like God deserves all the credit, because I wouldn't be in that cage if it wasn't for God. So I do want everybody in the world to know that I do not do it for that. And just thank y'all for supporting me, and thanks for having me on, John. I really appreciate your time, man. I always enjoy it.